And so you founded an agency firm, a recruitment agency firm, and a tech startup.
Yeah.
Completely different type of businesses.
Absolutely.
What are if you had to point out, like, what are the key differences and maybe challenges that you had to overcome in each?
Managing expectation, my own expectation in the tech startup world has been a challenge and been a lot harder versus the recruitment agency side of things, because also I've worked in recruitment for 10 odd years. I know everything about that industry and I know how the mechanics work. I understand what the processes are that you need to go through to get to where you want to be. Whereas, as much as I've seen some of that from working in the IT and tech recruitment industry, and like I said, being in and around clients and seeing that journey and that story, ultimately I had to learn all of that when coming into a tech startup and understanding how the tech guys might work, and you go, well, why hasn't this been finished? It's 6 o'clock, and like hardly anything's been achieved today. And they go, my brain turns on at 2 o'clock in the morning, and but then you'd come in at 8 o'clock the next day, and it would what you thought should have been done by 6 o'clock the night, but it's still done then. So it's just the way people work differently, because in recruitment you tend to have a very stereotypical type of personality. We all tend to be very, very samey. Like I said before, it's competitive, it's fast paced, and everyone's like in this race all the time. So, you're working fast all day. Yeah. Whereas in tech, it can feel very, very slow, and then it will speed up. And there's not this kind of. It definitely goes like that in terms of the pace. Whereas in recruitment, it's just like 100 mile an hour all the time. So
did that recruitment personality help you at all when you were becoming a startup founder? Because to me, a recruitment personality is quite confident. You can sell anything, very sure of themselves. Did that help you at the kind of the early stage?
I think so, yeah. In a couple of areas really, so we actually brought in a couple of developers initially into Fitter, and it definitely helped in terms of selling them the dream of coming into work for our startup versus another startup or versus another business, because we were really, really confident in the idea and the product that we wanted to put out there. And really confident in ourselves as a team as well. So I think, those personality traits definitely helped with that side of things. And then also, speaking to investors, and also like trying to break into that tech ecosystem as well, we're the new kids on the block and we were going to events and stuff like that, rather than being really sort of shy, retiring types, being confident and being able to just get out there and speak to people and become part of the fabric of what's going on in.
I only say that because before I applied for the job here, I was applying for
I just wanted to say that.
Companies.
Oh, really?
And there's like the interviews I went to were just two complete opposite. With the recruitment, it's more how can you sell like role plays of being on the phone, making sure you get that set. I think I had to sell a
pen.
Yeah, no, I had to sell a season ticket for Manchester United to someone, and then I come into the interview with Jonas, and he's asking me kind of like, what's like your dream in 5 years, and that type of, and more like trying to get to know my mindset rather than what skills I already have. Yeah, that type of thing is very different.
Do you think one of the reasons you chose to join a startup was based on your personality, that you felt that it fits more than a recruiter's personality?
I just think at the stage I was at, I was open to my personality going one of two ways. Like, I think if I was working in a recruitment company for a year, I would be quite outspoken and confident, and like, well, not that I'm not confident now, but I'd be a lot more. Whereas working for a startup for a year, I have got more of that creative side, kind of adaptability to do lots of different jobs at the same time.
And that's interesting, because I think as founders and as company owners, like, we have this responsibility, especially with when you're employing young people, to understand exactly that. that you're going to be shaping the person's personality, views, values, as well as obviously they're going to bring their own. But I think that's a very interesting point. Like if you were working in recruitment for a year, you know, he'd probably be a completely different Jack than he is right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so when it comes to creating kind of company culture, and that would be interesting to see as well your point of view, because I imagine being a recruiter definitely helps, you know, in hiring and understanding what you need from people when you do it for Fitter.
Yeah.
What kind of company culture do you try to instill, and like what kind of people are you looking for something like Fitter in comparison to when you do recruitment for other companies? Is there like massive differences because it's still all mostly IT? You know, what are the key things that you look for when placing the right person and also, you know, employing the right person for yourself?
So when employing the right person for myself, I would like ask myself the same questions that I would, you know, ask a potential client, what they are.
Give me a couple examples. What would be those questions?
That's a really good question. I mean, because obviously I've recruited for Fitter, you know, and recruitment policy there, even when we're bringing PTs onto the platform as well, we recruit on behaviours and values. Obviously they need to have like a level of aptitude and, you know, the skill set. It's very easy to ascertain whether a PT can do that, because we will do a assessment day with them and we'll put them through a little bit like you with recruitment, you know, put them through a scenario, like a role play. And have they got their certificates? So yeah, have you got your level 3, you know, tick, 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 boxes tick. So it's very easy to ascertain whether they can, you know, do the job from a skills perspective. But because they're out there representing the brand, it's all about their, you know, their behaviour, their attitudes, their values, you know, and what they want to achieve in terms of you know, their career as well. So, you know, do they fit like the Fitter model? And then that would also translate into the internal team as well, because that flows throughout the whole business. So yeah, it's definitely a values based business, but also like trying to bring some diversity to it as well. So, you know, we were 3 white guys from the Northwest when we started Fitter. So I had to look at bringing some different ideas in, you know, from different cultures, different backgrounds, people who had come from a corporate business and people who had come from a startup business as well. So, you know, they bring different ideas with them in terms of, you know, structure and best practice, you know, keep you on the straight and narrow rather than just running off down this, like, oh, we'll just hack something together kind of idea. So, yeah, because I would recruit that way for Fitter, that's how I'd ask the questions really from a recruitment point of view when speaking to clients, you know, kind of similar questions really. What's the right type of person that's going to fit into your business? Because
do they know? Like if you've asked them like, what's the type of person you need, would they be very like spot on, you know, X, Y, Z, this is what I need?
What you tend to find is that they will replicate whoever the best person is in their business. They'll say, right, Jack is the best developer that I've got in my team, so I need two more Jacks.
Right.
And they would describe that person. So maybe sometimes, you know, it depends how good a relationship you have with them. So if it's a company you've been working with for years, you might say, well, you know, if you can be that candid with them, you can say, right, well, you know, should we be looking to bring some women into the team? You know, should we be looking to bring some older heads into the team rather than, you know, guys who are fresh?
How much of a factor that is? Because personally, and there's no like right or wrong, I guess, but for me, it's whoever is the right fit. Like I never go, right, I definitely need a female right now, or I definitely need this type of ethnicity, whatever it may be. Like I just need the best person for the job, whoever that is.
Yeah.
And whatever ends up being, right?
Yeah.
How important have you seen it being of, you know, companies coming to you and saying, oh, actually, we really need to have, say, a female developer because she will bring in a different perspective to the same solution or something like that just because of that?
Yeah. I think maybe one of the reasons why I think like that more so now than perhaps I did like in my early days of my recruitment career, is because of what I said before about not having co-founders around me to challenge me. And I think if you just get a room full of the same people, you're only going to get a very similar answer and a very similar outlook. So I think you kind of need to be honest with yourself and think, right, let's shake it up a bit. And, otherwise it's just going to be very samey.
Yeah.
I can't think of another word to describe it really.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So yeah, to bring a different voice, to bring a different outlook, to bring someone from a different country in that's, from a different type of business.